How could this retired police lieutenant with over 30 years of experience confuse a real gun with a training one and end up killing someone in front of a whole class of officers? Jesse Porter was no rookie. He spent over 3 decades with the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C., retiring as a lieutenant in 2020. After retiring, he didn't leave law enforcement behind. He became a trainer and ran his own company to teach officers how to use batons and handcuffs. People trusted him with lives and leadership, but 2 years after retirement, he stood in front of a class of young officers at a D.C. public library and made the worst mistake of his life. During a baton training at the Anacostia Library in August 2022, Porter was hired to teach a group of young officers where live weapons were strictly banned, but he brought a loaded handgun into the room. But what's worse is how he treated 25-year-old Morika Mannion, a young black woman in his class who came to learn baton use only to become his unintended target. She was a special police officer who carried a badge for about 6 months and was a devoted young mother to a 4-year-old son. He mocked her for reading instructions too slowly. Every time she paused, he'd mutter, "Here we go again," like she was the problem. At the end of the session, while the group prepared for a photo, Morika, who was in the middle of the group and turned around to remove her mask, Porter repeated the phrase, "Here we go again," and then, in a moment of impulsive attitude that made him forget what was in his hand, pulled out what he believed was a training weapon and fired at her chest. But it wasn't a fake gun. It was his real firearm. The shot struck her directly. She collapsed and later died at the hospital. But how does a man with decades of experience forget the most basic rule of firearms? Always treat every gun as if it's loaded. Porter claimed he thought it was a fake gun. But even then, why point any gun at someone, especially during a joke? Why fire it at all without confirming what was in his hand? These aren't the actions of someone being careless for the first time. They're the result of unchecked authority and years of getting too comfortable breaking rules. Eventually, he was charged with involuntary manslaughter, and the judge gave him just 3 years because the court accepted that Porter didn't intend to kill her.